this blockbuster book. I've been reveling in your extracts. Very juicy stuff.
You know, we hear the word bombshell, and I think certainly it's true in this case.
Hi, congratulations. Thanks for taking the time out. I know you guys must be really, really busy, but
If there's one thing Tom Bauer understands, it's the art of perfect timing. He doesn't launch accusations into daylight hoping they'll stick. Instead, he observes, waits patiently, and strikes precisely when the room is already primed for explosion. But this time, his timing wasn't just calculated. It was devastating. He didn't merely touch a nerve. He shattered the very foundation beneath Prince Harry's world.
For setting up in California to spread wellness and love and sincerity, have done the exact opposite. They have dumped on their family, dumped on Britain.
The moment Bauer suggested he possessed material capable of dismantling the entire Sussex narrative with a single revelation, Harry's response was telling. Instead of the confidence of someone secure in their truth, he reacted like a cornered animal. Legal threats materialized within hours. Messages flew through intermediaries. Whispered warnings reached journalists' ears. The strategy was clear. Sue, silence, shut it down.
Well, it says he interviewed more than 80 sources for the unofficial biography, but it was...
Tom Bauer didn't flinch. Instead, he calmly revealed something far more threatening than mere scandal. He had evidence, not gossip, not speculation, not anonymous whispers in the dark. He possessed documents, records, verified timelines, and credible witnesses. The kind of material that requires no defense because truth speaks for itself. Then came the statement that sent shockwaves through Harry's world. This isn't about rumors. This is about paternity. Everything changed in that instant. Freeston, challenging a royal child's legitimacy transcends tabloid entertainment. It becomes existential. It strikes at the heart of bloodlines, inheritance, titles, and the one element the monarchy cannot afford to gamble with: absolute certainty.
It's where I felt closest to my mother and sought solace after she died, and where I knew I had found a...
Harry's rage erupted immediately and violently. Phones were hurled across rooms, doors slammed with fury, advisors frozen out in the cold. He demanded immediate lawsuits, injunctions, complete retractions. But beneath the volcanic fury wasn't confidence, it was pure panic. Because if these claims were truly baseless nonsense, one simple solution existed. One nuclear option could end the entire story instantly: a DNA test. And yet, remarkably, no one offered it. What Tom Bauer revealed next was surgically precise. He stated the information he was preparing to release connected directly to secret pregnancy records, unexplained travel inconsistencies, and a previously unreported early connection between Meghan Markle and a Colombian businessman whose name had never surfaced in mainstream coverage. Now. The internet, already ferocious in its appetite, did what it does best. It investigated. Flight logs resurfaced from forgotten archives. Charity trips were re-examined with forensic attention. Dates were circled, screenshots resurrected from digital graves. A pattern began emerging that, whether true or fabricated, appeared disturbingly coherent. Then came the witness, not a faceless anonymous source or a distorted voice behind shadows, but someone the public already recognized. A man with nothing left to gain and everything to lose by speaking. Vain. Trevor Engelson, Meghan's first husband, the one written out of the fairy tale like an inconvenient prologue. The stepping stone, the footnote, the man who had maintained silence for over a decade, until Tom Bauer brought him on the record. Before Trevor even spoke publicly, the internet detonated once more, at precisely 12:40 a.m. West Coast time. When gossip spreads fastest and defenses are weakest, an anonymous account appeared. No profile photo, no history. One post, one image, one devastating sentence. Everyone thinks they know. Everyone thinks they know. They know nothing at all. The photograph was intimate in a way that made viewers deeply uncomfortable. Meghan Markle in a luxury hotel hallway, her body angled toward a man who was unmistakably not Prince Harry. The lighting was warm, the space private, the moment unguarded. His arm circled her waist in a manner that crossed the boundary from friendly to intimate. His build was wrong, his posture incorrect, but his wrist was unmistakable, a leather bracelet with a metal cross pendant. Eagle-eyed users immediately matched it to a Colombian businessman who'd appeared briefly in promotional footage months earlier. Within minutes, the image went viral. People zoomed, enhanced shadows, compared frames, matched jewelry obsessively. This man wasn't tall and lanky like Harry. He was solid, athletic, confident in a way that didn't read royal at all. More money than titles, more power than protocol. Then as quickly as it appeared, the account vanished, deleted, scrubbed, executed with professional precision. Too professional, but screenshots are eternal. Right on cue, Tom Bauer stepped forward like a conductor who'd been waiting for the perfect moment to raise his baton. One short post. No emojis, no hysteria. Some stories don't disappear when you delete them. They disappear when the truth is proven. This one hasn't been. Then the line that froze the internet solid, the firstborn child may not belong to the man the public believes. So, no names, no direct accusations, just implications sharp enough to slice through steel. Hours later came the announcement. A new podcast series, weekly episodes, featuring documents and witnesses. A promise not of mere spectacle, but of systematic exposure. Episode 1 dropped on a Friday night when defenses are lowered and curiosity peaks. Tom's voice was calm, methodical, almost gentle, which somehow made it more disturbing. He described possessing documents linked directly to Archie's birth, medical inconsistencies, reporting gaps, sealed details that deviated sharply from royal precedent. No hospital confirmation, no named doctors, no timestamps, just vague statements and carefully orchestrated appearances. Then he rewound the narrative. 2 weeks earlier, a private California villa, a guest list so elite that phones were forbidden. Tech billionaires, Hollywood royalty, and a host with access to private jets the way most people have Uber. Victoria Jackson provided a jet loan for a charity trip to Colombia. After the flight home, something was left behind, a leather briefcase discovered by a night shift cleaner. Inside, according to Tom, was a high-resolution print of that same hotel hallway image. Clearer, closer, undeniable. That's where the story transformed from gossip into something truly dark, because suddenly this wasn't about rumor. It was about what people were willing to hide and why. As Harry listened, according to this account, something inside him fractured. Not anger this time, not defiance, fear. Raw, consuming fear. Because if Tom was willing to release this much information merely to force a reaction, what was he still holding in reserve? And why was no one on the Sussex side reaching for the one piece of proof that could terminate the entire nightmare in seconds? The silence wasn't just loud, it was devastating. When episode 2 dropped, the atmosphere shifted from scandal to something far more dangerous. Belief. Not proof. Belief. And belief is infinitely worse, because belief doesn't wait for courts or DNA tests or official statements. Belief spreads through emotion, through pattern recognition, through that gut-level instinct that something fundamentally doesn't add up.
Prince Harry are sharing a peek at life in California with little Archie.
The internet exploded into chaos. Clips ripped from the podcast flooded every platform. TikTok stitched endless reactions. YouTube commentary channels uploaded hour-long analyses within minutes. Reddit threads ballooned into tens of thousands of comments. One question drowned out all others. If this is all lies, why not end it instantly? Again, the DNA test. Harry, according to this narrative, was unraveling. Not publicly, not in official statements, but behind closed doors where no cameras perform and no scripts provide cover. Friends noticed his voice trembling on calls, his temper flaring unpredictably, his obsessive fixation on comment sections and reaction videos he swore he wasn't watching. He was watching all of it. The worst part wasn't Trevor's testimony. It was the timelines. Internet investigators aligned dates with ruthless precision. The Colombia trip, the Australia tour, the shifting pregnancy announcement, the absence of medical specifics, unusual postpartum appearances, the lack of traditional royal documentation. Individually, each detail could be explained. Together, they formed something that looked uncomfortably like deliberate intent. Harry began asking questions he'd never allowed himself to ask before. About dates, about doctors, about why everything surrounding Archie's birth felt so meticulously controlled. And Meghan sensed it immediately. She noticed the change, how Harry stopped meeting her eyes, how his questions became sharper and less rehearsed, how he lingered in silences she once filled effortlessly. When he finally spoke the words aloud, "Why won't you just do the test?" the room went ice cold. Meghan didn't cry. She didn't scream. She went perfectly still. Then she turned it back on him. How dare you? After everything I've endured for you, for this family, you're siding with them? Them, the royals, the media, Tom Bower, the mob, anyone but herself. Harry shouted back, not eloquently, not like a prince trained in diplomatic restraint, but like a man whose entire identity was collapsing. This isn't about them. This is about me not knowing if my son is actually mine. That was the moment something irreparable shattered. Sidere. Meghan accused him of betrayal, of internalized prejudice, of allowing palace paranoia to poison his mind. She reminded him of every sacrifice she'd made, every brutal headline endured, every time the institution allegedly tried to break. Then she delivered the line that stopped the argument cold. If you force this, you destroy us. Not if you're right, not if there's truth to hide, just if you force this. Harry reportedly left the room without answering. Outside, the world grew louder by the hour. A former palace staffer appeared anonymously online, claiming delays in Archie's titles had been tied to unresolved documentation concerns. Another claimed unprecedented meetings had taken place behind closed doors in modern royal history. None of it verified, all of it devastating. Buckingham Palace remained silent, and once again, silence inflicted. Tom Bower returned repeatedly to one phrase in interviews and posts, never raising his voice, never dramatizing. Innocent people don't fear verification. He didn't need to elaborate because the public had already completed the narrative. By the time episode 3 was teased, the question had evolved from, is this true, to what are they hiding, and how long can they keep hiding it? Inside a mansion built on sunshine, luxury, and carefully curated narratives, Prince Harry sat alone, confronting something terrifying, that the rebellion he'd built his life around, the family he'd abandoned, the crown he'd walked away from, all of it might have been sacrificed for a story he never truly verified. And once that doubt takes root, justification becomes irrelevant. It destroys everything in its path. The modern fairy tale was no longer merely cracking, it was hemorrhaging. And the world waited for the one piece of truth that could either end the nightmare or confirm it forever.